Internet! My name is Abby and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program on Wings. We are beginning this episode with the launch of a new satellite. In this case, in 3, 2, 1, and liftoff. Wow, another flawless launch. That's so amazing, that's so great. I'm all the time so amazed by these powerful rocket launches. That's always fun, that's always so amazing. Wow, that's great. Okay, I said the launch of a new satellite because we do have a contract, position satellite in a geosynchronous orbit of Kerbal. Launch a new unmanned probe that has power and an antenna, okay. Have a materials bay on the satellite, okay. Have an accelerometer on the satellite, okay. And then we need to reach the designated geosynchronous orbit around Kerbal with a marginal deviation. Okay, this should be no problem, hopefully no problem. And yeah, now we are heading for space. I think I can throttle up a little bit to increase the acceleration. And yeah, we are now aiming for a geosynchronous orbit. That's really cool, that's really amazing. Well, I really like to launch something into a geostationary or a geostationary orbit, or however they like to call it then. But yeah, right now I can get some money for a launch to at least geosynchronous orbit. That's also good. And yeah, now it's time to reach, or at first our first target is to reach the 200 meters per second mark and the 10 kilometer altitude mark, and now we can perform our gravity turn to continue accelerating and to reach finally at some point orbital velocity. Okay, that's great, that's really amazing. And yeah, what else is going on? Well, Sidrim is somewhere over here. Sidrim is currently approaching Kerbal, and unfortunately he will return and he will land on the nighttime side of Kerbal, but here he will arrive there pretty soon, so we will be switching between our spacecraft and Sidrim in order to feature also his return from the asteroid station. And yeah, right now our main goal is to deliver our satellite into an orbit. And well, I'm pretty excited to reveal or to jettison the payload fairing, because then you are able to see my new construction of the next Kerbal satellite. I called it Kerbal-C because we do have already Kerbal-A and Kerbal-B, and wow, we do have moon rising. That's great, that's so amazing. That's also so beautiful. Okay, now I can turn over a little bit more. Okay, very good, very good. We have already a nice velocity and a nice altitude. Very good, very good. Okay, I think I can turn over even more. Very good, very good. Okay, and the first stage is burned out. I can now jettison it and fairing separation. And there is my satellite. This is my shiny new satellite. But right now I have to check this. 89. I think I like to raise it a little bit more so I can start the engine, throttle it up, and yeah, I like to have maybe a 100 kilometer apoapsis, so just a little bit, and cut the engine. Very good. Okay. We are on a good trajectory, and yeah, this is my satellite, and as you can see it has 4 antennas and it has also 4 solar arrays, and I'm really excited to see this thing in space after it has deployed its antennas and its solar arrays. I think it has really an amazing shape, and so I'm really looking forward to deploy it in its designated orbit. And yeah, we are currently 2 minutes away from our apoapsis, so I can do a quick time warp to get closer to this point. Okay, 15 seconds. Now it's time to perform the orbital insertion burn so that we are entering an orbit around Kerbal. Okay, back there is Kerbal Space Center. Goodbye, Kerbal Space Center. We are now heading for space. And okay, I think I should have started the burn a little bit earlier, but we can still manage it. We are almost there, we are almost there. I can switch over to the orbital map, and yeah, there's the periapsis. And cut the engine. 98 by 121, okay, it's a little bit an eccentric orbit, but it's okay. And so, at first, I think we need to... Oh, it's not that easy. We need to achieve the right inclination. So, where should I do this? Maybe... It's really hard to see. It should be somewhere... around here. No, not the glider to 200. I like to... Oh, I like to set a... Okay. And I need... Wow, by 17 degrees, it's quite a large inclination. How do I... Or can I set this as my target? No. I'd like to know how can I fix this. Maybe I should use the moon as a reference so I can set this as a target. Okay, then I would have 15.6. Okay, I need to continue a little bit. 17, I need 17.4. Oh, this is too much. 18. Okay. This is good enough, and this is very good. Okay, I have set the maneuver node, and now I can extend the solar arrays of the upper stage so that it's not running out of electric charge while we are in our coast phase and while we are waiting to get to our next maneuver node. Okay, I can now perform a quick time warp. Very good, very good. Okay, and soon we are in the shadow of Kerbal. Okay, and I like to slow it down because I like to enable the lights. Very good, very good. Lights are running. Now I can turn toward the maneuver node. It's, well, I'm not quite sure about the length. It says 32 seconds, so I think we can wait for a few seconds, or I can even do maybe a quick time warp, or no, I think I will just wait that we are getting to the right moment. And okay, now it's time. Full throttle to perform this inclination change. Well, I could have performed a little bit better by waiting that the ascending or a descending node aligns with Kerbal Space Center, as I did with the Collier orbit launch. But well, I think we do have enough fuel in our upper stage, so it should be no problem at all to perform this inclination change. And cut the engine, very good. Okay, I'm now off by 1 degree. Okay, this should be no problem. This should be no problem at all. The periapsis and the apoapsis is over there, so I think at first I like to achieve the apoapsis, so I can do something like this. Okay, this is a bit too much. And reduce it, and okay, 200 is my a little bit too high or too low? I think it was too high. No, it's too low. Okay, I need to raise it a little bit. And then I maybe need to bring it over there. Oh, it's always so hard to read these numbers. Okay, this might be good. I'm not quite sure. But well, we can fix this later on. Okay, the next burn is coming up in 7 minutes and 40 seconds. So I can perform the next time warp to get closer to this maneuver node. Okay, a beautiful orbit around Kerbal, and soon we will have sunrise. And yeah, there's the sun again. Let's kill. We are back in the sunlight. Very nice, very nice. Okay, just a few seconds and stop the time warp. Very good. Now I can aim for the maneuver node. Very cool, very cool. Okay, just a few seconds. And okay, full throttle once again. Very good, very good. Okay. It's a beautiful view down to Kerbal. Wow, that's so amazing. I like these moments when you're pretty close to the Terminator. It's always so beautiful. Okay, and now I can cut the throttle, and my apoapsis is a little bit low, so I think I should continue just a little bit with my burn. 958. 51, 55, 60. Okay. I think this is a little bit higher. This looks strange. Why? Oh, because the inclination is still screwed. Okay, I need to change the inclination by 1 degree, basically. Somewhere over here, I need to do something like this. Okay, here, this looks good. This looks good. Okay, the next burn is coming up in 13 minutes. Okay, time for another time warp. 12, 11, 9. We are now gaining some altitude. And we can spot Kerbal Space Center down here. That's cool, that's amazing. Down there's Kerbal Space Center. That's so amazing all the time to recognize these features in the terrain. That's always amazing. Okay, now I think I can perform the burn right now. Very good. And cut the engine. Very good. So, okay. No, we have now matched the inclination. Very good, very good. Now, I think the last thing we need to do is to fly out to the apoapsis and to... Oh, this was too much. And to match the periapsis. It's not that easy. Okay. Yeah, it's almost there. Just a little bit more, maybe. Maybe 1. Yeah, okay. That's almost spot on. Very good, very good. So, the next burn is coming up in 1 hour and 13 minutes. Sidram, what are you doing? We do have now 1 hour and 13 minutes. I think I like to switch over to Sidram so that we are not missing his re-entry, and he is 43 minutes away from the re-entry at Kerbal. And in this case, we will now follow his return back home to Kerbal before we will switch back to our satellite. That's cool, that's cool. Okay, I can speed up. And Sidram is happy. Sidram is happy as he is returning back home. Okay, now, this was almost a bit much. Okay, now I like to retract the solar arrays and the antenna. Okay, I like to retract them. Very good. I'm not quite sure. I think the service module is a little bit too heavy, so I think I need to I think I need to decouple, and especially because, well, we don't have the chance. Can I fix this? I'm not quite sure. I think I will do this right now, decouple. And because, well, I can't enable SAS, the spacecraft was launched before the implementation of the Kerbal traits, and, well, Sidram is unfortunately not a pilot, and in this case here, he can't really control the spacecraft, and I haven't installed a probe core to it, and, well, in this case, I think we will see how everything will work out with the re-entry. Okay, I think we will hit the atmosphere pretty soon. Yeah, there's the atmosphere. Okay, we are now hitting the atmosphere. Okay, I hope the capsule isn't tumbling out of control. Okay, it's an interesting view, but it seems to... Maybe it stabilizes on its own. This would be good, but no. Oh, it's rotating around. That's interesting. Okay, it's rotating around. But yeah, we are now losing velocity. This is good. Okay, it's tumbling, it's tumbling. This is an interesting point of view. I can zoom out a bit. Okay, and where can we still see our service module? No. Oh, here, over there. There's our service module. So, goodbye service module. You did an amazing job. Unfortunately, now it's time to separate. And well, so yeah, thank you for your service. Thank you for everything. And well, see you soon or so. Okay. We are now about to return. We have lost quite an amount of our velocity. That's great. And we are descending. Sidrum is happy that he can return. And here, I think it's now time for some time warp to speed things up as Sidrum is falling back to the surface. Okay, very good. Getting closer, getting closer. And I think it's now time to pop the chutes. Very good, very good. No. I like to... Whoa. Don't want to land in the wrong orientation, but I think this is not as... Okay. Maybe now it will remain stable. No. Oh, it's not easy to control the spacecraft during its descent. Okay, what is the altitude? Can I... Oh, it's tumbling, it's tumbling. Can I see something? Soon there... Whoa. The chutes will fully deploy, that's good. And I think I will run out of electric charge pretty soon if I continue doing all these corrections. Okay, and... Wow. There are the chutes, and we are turned into the wrong direction. Can I fix this? Okay, it's not that simple. So the capsule is always tumbling around. Okay, I think I will just perform a quick time warp. Wow, this is very slow descent. 4.1 meters per second. Okay, this is slow. It's definitely slow. Okay. Come on, Sidrum. You can do this. It's a very slow descent. Maybe I can fix the orientation now of my spacecraft before it will touch the surface and the ground. Okay, maybe like this. Very good. And Sidrum is back home. Sidrum is back home. He made it. Very good. Good job, Sidrum. Good job. I can now recover him. Okay, recovery of a vessel returned from orbit around the moon. Very good. We were 1,705 kilometers away, so only an 18% value. We got 694 funds back, and well, I also jettisoned the service module, so yeah, it's okay. And no XP gain for Sidrum. Very good. Okay, now, after Sidrum returned, it's time to, not Kerbal set A, where is, over there, Kerbal set C. I like to fly Kerbal set C as it is approaching the apoapsis. It's only 25 minutes away from the apoapsis. We can still spot Kerbal, or the continent of Kerbal Space Center. That's cool. Okay, I can speed things up. And it's a beautiful view over to Kerbal. 12 minutes, 10, 7, 5, 4, 3, 2, okay. Time to stop this. And now I like to perform the burn. I think I will wait a few seconds until I will perform the burn. Okay, maybe now. Okay. Gently burn. Very good. Very good. And wow, it's a great view over to Kerbal. That's amazing. It's really amazing. And cut the engine. Very good. So, I think this looks pretty good. I can close this one. And here, we've got an information. Contract complete. Position satellite in a geosynchronous orbit of Kerbal. You have successfully placed our satellite in geosynchronous orbit of Kerbal. Well done, well done. Very good. Okay, now I like to deploy the satellite. So, like this. Very good. And now I can switch to the satellite and pretty agile. Now it's time to say extend and extend and extend. No, not observe materials bay and extend. Okay, and now a solar arrays. Come on, I like to extend the solar arrays. Okay, now I like to turn it around. So, my satellite is deployed, and well, I'm really happy. I like the shape. This looks really amazing with these solar arrays and these huge antennas. That's cool. That's really cool. Okay. We are now in our geosynchronous orbit. That's cool. And here, down there, Kerbal Set B is in the colonial orbit. Kerbal Set A, I'm not quite sure if this orbit has a... I think it was just an orbit, just launch a satellite. And now we even do have a geosynchronous orbit. That's great. And okay, to finish the launch, I like now to deorbit the upper stage so that we get rid of the space debris problem. Down there is Kerbal Set, oh, it's called probe. I need to rename this, but right now I like to focus on the deorbit maneuver. Very good, very good. And it's gone basically. Very good. Now I like to switch over to our shiny new satellite, and I like to rename the vessel to Kerbal Set C. Very good. Okay. Now I'm happy. Now I'm happy. Very nice, very nice. The launch was a success, and that's cool. That's cool. And here. Now I like to go back to the Space Center because I like to, or are we in the darkness? Here, it's sunset already. I like to just show you something. Come on. I like to have this spacecraft, and no, not these stupid orange guys. I like to have Sidram and Optop here. No, Sidram and Bearing would be cool. Sidram and Bearing. Okay, and I like to launch this mission because I've spent some time in the vehicle assembly building, and I began to develop the lander for my upcoming Duna expedition. And here it is. Here is the lander of my, or for my Duna expedition. It features 8 parachutes, or it is equipped with 8 parachutes for the descent and the landing. It has 4 Rokomax 48-7S engines for the purpose of leaving the surface of Duna again. And here then it has some solar arrays and some RTS thrusters. And here I like this design, and I especially like this design that I do have 2 docking ports so that I can dock it to a travel stage, and I also can dock another spacecraft to it. So I think that's pretty cool, and I hope it will do a good job when we are flying out to Duna. And now I like to demonstrate that this thing, or I like to perform the maiden flight, because this thing is really powerful. It can even fly on Kerbal, and wow, that's cool, that's cool. Okay, we are now flying around, and I like now to demonstrate. Oh, are we? No, we are not in the sunlight again, but I like now to demonstrate the landing. I can now cut the throttle, and we are falling back down, so I can now pop the chutes. And okay, all of the 8 parachutes are deployed. That's cool. Our current descent rate is 6.2 meters per second. The LT2 landing struts can survive an impact or a landing with a speed up to 12 meters per second. So in the case that I exceed these 12 meters per second on Duna, I can use my engines to slow down my descent during the final phase of the landing. And yeah, so this is basically my lander. I'm not quite sure if I will add some experiments to it, because the main purpose of this lander is to transport the crew to the surface of Duna and later on to bring them safely back into an orbit around the red planet. And the science they will perform, or they will perform the experiments with the Duna rover. So in this case, I'm not quite sure. We will see. And with this, I'd like to wrap up this episode. I'd like to thank you for watching. I hope you liked this, and I hope you will be joining me in the next episode. Until then, my name is Abby. See you!